I would call to order the meeting of our common council for Tuesday, March 4th. Clerk?
Thank you, Your Honor. We have 12 members in the room, 12 members voting.
All right, thank you, Clerk. Now please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
To the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Now you can be seated for a moment of quiet contemplation for our invocation. Right, now on to approval of the minutes. Motion to approve made by Alder Prophet and seconded by Alder Stevens. Any changes there? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Opposed nay. The ayes have it. The minutes are approved. Approval of the agenda. Motion to approve made by Alder DeLee, seconded by Alder Presley. Alder Johnson.
to amend. I'd like to offer a motion to amend to move S9 after I and item K after S9.
All right, Alder Johnson makes a motion to amend the agenda as stated. Is there a second for that? Seconded by Alder Stevens. Any discussion on that? Seeing none, all in favor will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed nay. The ayes have it. Entertain a motion to approve as amended.
So moved.
Alder Johnson makes a motion to approve as amended. Seconded by Alder Galvin. Discussion here. Yeah, so Alder Johnson made a motion to take S9 and K right after I. All in favor will say aye. Opposed nay. The ayes have it. And that agenda has been approved. On to report by the mayor. We've got a big agenda in front of us, so I don't think I've got a whole heck of a lot to say, but looking forward to a good and healthy meeting. I'll move along to announcements. I know one's coming. Alder Weary.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, probably the worst kept secret ever, but unofficially announced yesterday, but I'll be stepping down as alderman May 6th at that council meeting. You know, I stated it already, and my family needed a larger, better equipped house for my mom and my wife, and to better serve their healthcare needs. And so just the right thing to do. Unfortunately, it means leaving the district. Apparently, God thinks He can give you life tasks you can handle. So, hope so. And I really, and my family really, truly appreciates all the kind messages, lots of heartfelt messages. It's neat to see people that you reach out to you haven't helped in 20 years, but they remember it. So just remember, as an alderman, you never know who you're helping. It's a big deal to them. It might be small to you, but just remember that.
Well, congratulations.
Well, here, hold on. I feel like I owe it to the public to give the real reason I'm leaving. There's 5 of them, and this is important, right? Coach K offered me a starting spot on the Duke basketball team. So this time I'm not turning him down. So that's one. Second one, I lost a Super Bowl bet to Mayor Genrich. Should not have made that bet. You won. Good job. Third, the Packers need a wideout. I happen to be a free agent. I know, surprising, but connect the dots. Okay. My home planet of Kirby is reassigning me to a new quadrant, and director did say they're calling you too shortly. So there's that, and then lastly, and this is probably the most important, the blackmail photos worked. So I'm out. Always have a sense of humor, right? I mean, we fight like cats and dogs over things, but try and be friends outside of here and have a sense of humor. Thanks.
Absolutely. Well, I know we're going to have plenty to say on May 6th, but just wanted to congratulate you on a very lengthy and productive tenure for the city of Green Bay. Had a lot of alders going back throughout the years, but I think we'd be hard pressed to find one that worked as hard as you did for your residents and for your constituents.
I appreciate it, but I do notice you're smiling a little large today. I don't. That's a coincidence. You might have had a
the
good
beard
day.
hides the
I
facial
don't.
expressions, but no, congrats though on a great tenure. Yeah. Yes, Alder Eck. And
Okay.
just a reminder to silence your telephones.
She has a note, actually.
You bet.
She has a note.
You bet.
Hard to follow that, Alder Weary. Vicky from the Green Bay Neighborhoods would like to invite the alders for the April 3rd meeting. It's at the downtown branch of the library. They're doing something new. The regularly scheduled meeting is at 5:30, but they would like to offer the time of 5 to 5:30 to alders to come in and they can lead a discussion on what is happening in your district for neighborhood leaders. If you'd like to participate, please let Vicky know. You should have received an email. If not, you should be getting it soon. And then also, an additional, she said, Green Bay Neighborhoods greatly appreciates your attendance and playing a role in keeping the communication open with our neighborhood leaders. And this is the second announcement, and Alder Johnson did not ask me to do this, but the Broadway District is looking for volunteers for Draft City Music Fest. And you can see James Anderson from Park and Rec, and if you're interested.
Thanks, Alderek. Any other announcements? Right, seeing none. We're moving along to recognitions and awards. So this is a fun one. The Parks, Recreation and Forestry Department recognizes Ann Moeller, Recreation Manager, who received the George Wilson Service Award. The Wilson Service Award was presented at the February Wisconsin Parks and Recreation Association's annual conference. Mueller is a committed park recreation professional, obviously, who has impacted the industry in multiple ways. Her exceptional dedication and tireless contributions to WPRA and to the city of Green Bay have made her a standout leader within the organization. So congratulations to Ann. I think James has a few words.
Yeah, I just wanted to say congratulations, Ann, and from the Park and Rec Department as well as the city. But I just want everybody to know Ann's one of those rare individuals. She started working for the city at the age of 15, and she only missed one summer because she was, I think, teaching in Florida. And then she knew that her calling was back to the city of Green Bay and the Park and Rec Department to continue her career. So she's just one of those rare people that have been working since she was 15 all the way up till now, continue to put the commitment not only for our city, but for our state association, led the charge with, being the lead aquatics person for a state for a long time. Just really, her first full summer was actually when Resch Aquatic Center opened. So she had the privilege of her first full summer full time, leading, opening up a new pool along with Joanne's and also Colburn. And that is a lot to take on your full summer for your first full year. And then just, with Colburn and all the other things that we've done throughout the years. And now as rec manager, she's doing a fantastic job as well. So just wanted to congratulate her.
Well, congratulations again, Ann. And the rumor is that I think she was a lifeguard who had to rescue you doing the polar plunge at the Resch Aquatic Center. Yeah. Excellent. Well, congrats. Next, I think because of the amendments, we've got S9. So for those of you scoring at home, that's to approve staff to proceed as directed in closed session regarding development agreement 25-01 with Hoban Real Estate LLC for the development of 3855 Finger Road. Entertain Alder Johnson makes a motion to approve, and that was seconded by Alder Galvin. On that motion, Alder Johnson?
Make a motion to open the floor to hear from interested parties.
Alder Johnson makes a motion to open the floor, seconded by Alder Prophet. All in favor will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Floor is open. Mr. Hoban? Just name and address for us.
Sure. Bill Hoban, 1341 South State Street, Green Bay.
We just opened the floor real quickly. We didn't talk about this beforehand, but I was hoping you could just give an overview of your business and what you're looking to do. Obviously, we've seen the development agreement, but I think it would be helpful for folks to hear from you directly.
Sure. Well, the last time I stood in front of this microphone is when we were here for the conditional use permit to move ourselves to this property on Finger Road. So we've been on State Street since 1914, not my family personally, but the company Green Bay Drop Forge, and have made the decision to invest in new equipment, modern equipment that will allow us to expand what we can do for our customers, as well as grow into different markets that we're not currently in. Both equipment that people around here might be familiar with, the hammer work that we have, as well as press line that we have, multiple press lines in our Illinois facility that we needed to replace and didn't have the space there. So we've been working with the city for, I would say, a number of years about if the possibility for us to move, they wanted to help us with it. So as we looked more on the idea of continuing to expand on our Green Bay property on State Street, it got more and more complicated and got to the point of being led to the Finger Road property, which what attracted us about that was the ability to build while we could continue to operate on State Street, as well as the acreage there would allow us to build initially the forging building that will bring on the new equipment that we have actually sitting in Germany right now, ready to have a home whenever we're ready for it. But also to expand both on the forging and the other part of our business that we do, the machining side of things and assembly at the State Street site. We could relocate that there as well as additional expansion. So that's us. I'm sure you most have heard of Green Bay Drop Forge, but our need to grow precipitated some serious conversations with the city. So we appreciate the time that your staff, Mr. Mayor, and yourself have afforded to us to come up with a plan that helps us to take on this very large investment, both on the build side as well as all the equipment we're bringing in, and do it in a manner that we can do it in a phased approach, continuing to operate on our facility on State Street, but then move over as we can and continue to expand on that property.
Any questions for Mr. Hoban?
Good.
Great. Thanks
Yep.
for being here.
Motion to close the floor.
Motion to close the floor made by Alder Johnson, seconded by Alder Hinkfuss. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Floor is closed. Alder Johnson?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. For those who weren't in attendance at the Finance Committee meeting, we obviously had some discussion in closed session. So if you weren't there, obviously you wouldn't have been a part of it, but there were some pieces of the originally proposed development agreement that Finance Committee wanted to see enhanced, and that is the red line version that you see in your packets. You know, this story to me is a really great one. It's a legacy business here in our community that's existed for over 100 years. And this is the feel-good story that you like to tell. I mean, a local owner, someone you really want to root for, that has had a business in operation here and has provided many good jobs here in our community. And so often it's easy to see businesses like this acquired and relocated elsewhere. And this is an example of someone who's finding a way to expand here despite certain challenges that are kind of presented to this type of industrial use. So I want to thank Bill and Carrie, who we've worked with over the last few days since the Finance Committee meeting, to talk about how we can make this a win-win for everybody. But most notably, what you will see in the packet with the red line are some slightly modified terms that we had discussed in closed session. I know the mayor and staff had reached out to Bill, and then Bill had separately reached out to Alder Galvin and myself, and we had some conversations with him to talk about what we would support from a policy perspective. And then, of course, left up to staff to kind of hammer out the details, which is what's in front of you. Most notably, the thing that Finance Committee had talked about was the ability for the city to retain the option to purchase the State Street site, and then to do lease back for Bill and or Drop Forge, especially the machine shop, right? So this is, for those not familiar, this is the site along the river that has the banging hammers. That again have been there for a long time, but this will allow us some technological enhancements in the industrial park that I think can mitigate some of that noise impact, and it'll give the city the opportunity to really take a look at that State Street site, figure out the best and highest use for it. I think industrial could certainly be one of those uses that exist on this site, and there are some other options that we've tossed around. But anytime you have an opportunity to acquire 11 acres of waterfront property. I think, that's in our best interest as we start to talk about what our long-term waterfront development strategy is. And so we thank, Bill and his family for being able to entertain that conversation with us and find the right path forward. And so that's, again, the red line document that you see in the packet. And I wholeheartedly support what we put in front of you.
Thanks, Alder. Other comments from council? Great. Alder Hinkvis?
Yes, and thanks, Brian, for your comments, but
Alder Johnson.
or Alder Johnson, thank you for your comments. The fact that they're gonna keep Drop Forge here in Green Bay is another corporate entity that is housed in Green Bay. And I think, I know Brian talked about the 100 years, but the growth and the opportunity to keep corporate headquarters here is huge. So I think Drop Forge, the Hopens, hope this moves forward.
Thanks, Alder. Any other comments from council? Great. Well, I just want to quickly second comments made by Alder Johnson and Alder Hinkvis. This is a big day for Drop Forge, the business, for the Hope family, for the Drop Forge workforce, for the city of Green Bay. It really is a great story and a great opportunity for the city to do its part to support Drop Forge in their future growth and kind of creating that second chapter for the business. So I'm wholeheartedly in favor of this agreement as well, and really appreciate the work that's been done by Deputy Director Buchanan in particular, and some other folks within Community and Economic Development, Finance Committee, Alder Johnson and Alder Galvin in particular, for reaching out here within the last couple days to have some really healthy conversations with Drop Forge to bring us to this point tonight. So very excited and supportive of the deal in front of us, and would certainly ask for council's support. So with that, all in favor, we'll say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and that motion succeeds. Congratulations. Next, we have appointments. Alder Johnson, Alder Galvin in particular, for reaching out here within the last couple days to have some really healthy conversations with Drop Forge to bring us to this point tonight. So those were good comments. I don't know if we need to hear them again, but
Back to Jay? Okay,
yeah, Alder Prophet.
I just wanted to. We're doing K before J, just for
Correct.
clarification.
Yep, you got it. So these are the appointments. Motion to approve the new, let's see, we'll take item 1 first. Alder Stevens' motion was to approve item 1, seconded by Alder Hinkvis, I think. All in favor, will say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and those appointments to our boards and commissions were made. Next, we have a couple of appointments. Dave Wilkett as our Information Technology Director, Brian Rolfson as our Human Resources Director, and then Melanie Falk as our Interim Human Resources Director. And that's a little bit of backdating there, back to January 26th, and then forward towards March 30th, 2025. We took them both up under item 1. So we have 2, 3, and 4 remaining. Wishes there to take them individually or together, up to the council. Alder Presley makes a motion to suspend the rules and take these items up with one roll call vote. Seconded by Alder Hinkvis. All in favor will say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it, the rules are suspended. Motion to approve made by Alder DeLee, seconded by Alder Prophet. Any discussion here?
Of course, we know who Dave and Melanie are, but Brian is here, right? So
Yes,
it might be a nice opportunity if he is willing to introduce himself.
Sounds great. There he is. Yeah, Mr. Olson, just please approach the podium, and if you don't mind, introduce yourself to our council.
But thank you for the opportunity, Brian Rolfson. I'm very excited at the opportunity to lead the HR department for the city of Green Bay. awesome group of people leading an awesome cause, which is caring for the community. I got about 17 years of human resources leadership experience, over 25 leading teams, both in the private sector, nonprofit, as well as in the Air Force. I was active duty for 21 years. So once again, I appreciate the opportunity to stand before you all and be appointed as the HR director.
Any questions for Mr. Olafson?
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Alder Johnson?
Yeah, obviously just wanted to congratulate Dave as well. I think this is long overdue, even though you've been in that capacity for a while, but don't want to miss the opportunity to say congrats in a formal capacity. And I'm sure Melanie welcomes the opportunity to go back to a normal life here shortly with the transition. But you know, and Brian, of course, welcome to you as well. You know, one of the things I think that sometimes gets forgotten, and when we created this Director of Human Resources role this last budget, largely part because things have changed in that landscape. But I think sometimes what's forgotten is the amount of resources in our annual city budget that are allocated towards human resources and benefits. And so having someone in that role who understands how these things work and can find places to experience cost savings will more than pay for this position, I'm confident. So Brian, we've set the bar high for you. Look forward to seeing that huge reduction in next year's budget.
Thanks, Alder. No pressure, apparently. Any other comments from council on the appointments? All right, all in favor will say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and those appointments are made. Congratulations to Mr. Olafson and Mr. Wilkett, as well as to Ms. Falk, who's done a fantastic job for the city for a long time and has done a great job in that interim role as well. So with that, we will move along to our presentation. That might be why a few of the cameras are here tonight. I'm not sure. But this is a presentation from the National Football League and some of our local partners on the 2025 draft. We've got a number of folks here who are going to provide an overview covering a number of subjects, including the draft experience, transportation, operations and parking, security, community inclusion, and community engagement efforts. So with that, we'll turn the mic over to our first speaker, who you are all very familiar with, Aaron Popke, Director of Public Affairs for the Green Bay Packers. Floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, everyone. Since we're here to discuss the draft, I want to just take a moment and ask Alder Weary. He mentioned he was a free agent, but you might be eligible for the draft.
Oh, that's a good point.
And I did get a text from our GM, and he wonders when you might be available for a workout. So, all right, a little bit of business before this business. But Mr. Mayor, thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight, and members of the council, everyone, appreciate your support. And Mayor, it seemed like forever ago that Brad Toll and I were in your office talking about, hey, there's this NFL draft that's going to be going on the road, and our community should go after this. So met with you and your team, and speaking of that team, I see members of the staff and Steve over there, Steve Grenier, and Chief Knott, Chief Davis. You know, thanks for all the support as we have built up to this event, which is now just a few short weeks away. So it seemed like a long time ago, and here we are just a few weeks away. So it's exciting for all of us. So I just, on behalf of the Green Bay Packers, and we've got a number of speakers here today, but Mark Murphy and everyone on our team that felt this would be a great opportunity for the city of Green Bay and the greater Green Bay area and the region and the state. We are excited that it is upon us, and the opportunity to have our colleagues with the NFL who are here on their last site visit before the event gets going later this month as we build things out, which we'll see. Really appreciate the opportunity to be here and hear from them. So thanks for this on behalf of everyone at the Packers. And with that, I want to start by inviting our colleagues up here, and starting with John Barker, who heads up global event operations and production with the NFL, and he'll get us started with the presentation. John.
Good evening. Thank you, one, for the opportunity just to be here and address all of you, Mr. Mayor, to you and to the council members. Thank you for all the work that it took to bring the draft here. As Aaron said, it's not just the NFL looking at a map and saying, we should just go over there. It takes an entire community to come together and say, we want this. We want the draft to come to our community. And the work that the Packers did and the work that all of you did brought that plan to life. We're simply here now to execute that plan. And thanks again to you, to the council members here, to this community represented that has embraced us so warmly since day one. And then to all the city agencies that we've had the pleasure to work with through the last 2 years to get us here, and especially Green Bay PD and Fire and Rescue for all of your support and your help. We live in the world of mass events and bringing a lot of people together, and I can't say enough about the work that your police department and your fire department have done to make us be able to bring events like this to life. So we very much appreciate it. Before we really get into this, we thought maybe we'd take a step back. We just want to show you a very quick video, give you about a minute of flavor of the draft. So this is last year's draft. So we thought we'd just remind everybody, if I can figure out how to do this. They should never let me do tech. I'll tell you that much. What am I doing? Just clicking it? See, look at that. See? So that gives you a flavor of the draft. And look, I recognize the fact that I'm standing in Green Bay, Wisconsin, showing you a lot of Detroit Lions video. And let me not do that again. And also the Bears getting the #1 pick and Caleb. So look, I get that. I promise you this, next year in Pittsburgh, they're going to see a whole lot of Green Bay stuff.
Them having the #1 pick.
Yeah.
As long as they
It's a
want.
very fair point. It's a very fair point. But what the video is meant to represent is this. This is about the prospects and it's about celebrating these young men and the work that they have done. But the draft is about hope. Everybody's 0-0. Everybody's got a chance. And it's about football and it's about fandom and it's about community. You will see a lot of Packers and a lot of Green Bay representation in this draft, but you're going to see 31 other teams as well. And that's what draft really is. And the ability to bring this event, and secretly a lot of these talented people who actually do all the work to make this happen will tell you, we love this event because it really truly is a celebration of football. And as I said to Aaron and Ed and Murph and Gabrielle, to be able to do that celebration at the Mecca of football is really special. Lambeau Field is a very, very special place. I've had a chance to be around the world and see a lot of amazing stadia, but there's a moment when you walk out on that grass and it is special. And the fact that we've got an opportunity to bring something that we love to do and celebrate it in a place like this, I think is just going to make this one truly, truly memorable for everybody. So what we want to do is give you a preview of what draft is going to look like. We're going to pull back the curtain a little bit, show you some stuff that maybe you haven't seen before, talk to you about some of the plans. In the events world, we've still got 2 months, which is like a year. We've got plenty of time to make this thing refined. I said to the team tonight, the foundation and building blocks of this event is there. Now it's just about refinement. Now it's just about building it and making it better, and how do we make this truly, truly special? So we can be proud of it, but more importantly, your community can be really proud of it. We always say that the draft is not the NFL's draft. This one is Green Bay's draft. This is your draft. You worked really hard to get it. We want to make sure that it really feels like your draft. So let's take a look at some of these images here. This is what we call the campus. This is the full draft campus. If you start from your right-hand side and we start moving to our left, the beginning there, that's draft experience. Nikki Ewell and her team are going to talk to you a little bit about what's going to happen there. Then we're centered by the stadium. We'll have the ability to program the stadium. We've got some cool and unique things that will happen inside there. And then if you move further to the left-hand side, that's the other side of the stadium. That's where the main draft theater will be. It's a temporary build. It's a structure that we build specifically for the draft. As we get into the next one here, you now start to see the size and scale of the draft theater. It's anchored on either side by some private hospitality pieces. You see in the foreground there, that is the large GA viewing area. And then inside that structure is the actual draft theater. But no matter where you're standing on that footprint, you're going to be able to see right into the inside of that theater and see everything that's going on. This gives you a sense of inside the theater. This is one of the 2 television sets that are inside, built there. I believe this is the NFL networks, and you see what they're going to see when they're live on air. And then here we go to the next one, which is now well, this doesn't seem to be moving anymore on me. See, I'm telling you, tech and me, not good. There you go. So this gives you a sense of just a dead-on shot. If you're standing out in that GA area, this is what you're going to look into. You see the commissioner's podium centered right there in the middle. And then this last one is the one that I'm really proud to show you and want to show you here. And you start to see when we start talking about this being your draft, the inspiration of this stage design is from your stadium. We wanted to bring Lambeau inside. So you'll see some smaller details there that really reference back to Lambeau Field, and making sure that when we talk about the Green Bay draft, there's no mistaking what this set is and the purpose of this set, and the reason that we designed this this way. So we're really, really proud of this one. And if you go back and look at all the various drafts that we've done, you'll see that we take great care in making sure that we really think about the feel and the look and the design. We're going to show you some more decor pieces here in a little bit as well, so you can get a feel of how we're going to dress all around the campus. And then the last slide for me is really just to remind everybody how big draft really is. 55 million people, over 90 hours of air coverage across all of our partners at ABC, ESPN, and NFL Network. Massive, hundreds of thousands in attendance, and then just a massive amount of social media spread across those 3 days as well. Numbers of draft are numbers of draft, and Detroit smashed records. Also remember, it's a downtown metropolis city. Of course, they're going to have big numbers. The attendance numbers isn't what we focus on. We focus on the quality of the experience of fans that come. And it can be one person or it can be 775,000 people. It doesn't make a difference. We need to make sure that the draft is memorable. There's a wonderful sign that's in one of the tunnels going onto the field at Lambeau Field that says, today could be somebody's bucket list day. And that's what this is about. And that's what we're trying to create. So we're really, really proud of the event. We're really proud of where it is today. And again, it all goes back to this community and the support that you've provided all of us to get us there. So I'm going to stop talking and I'm going to turn it over to the very, very talented team behind me that's actually doing the work to bring this all to life. So first, we're going to bring up Ashley Hamilton to walk you through the schedule and some of our decor pieces. Ash.
Thank you, John. Hello, everybody. Thank you for having us today. So here we have the production schedule. So this 3-day event, we'll have round 1 on April 24th. That's Thursday, April 24th. Gates will open at noon. Draft experience will open at noon as well. The pre-show is to be determined, but we'll provide that info shortly. Draft theater, the main stage, theater stage will start production around 7 p.m. and we will end around 10 p.m. approximately. As you see here, we have ABC networks are ABC, ESPN, and NFL Network. All of our onstage production will be broadcast on those networks as well for all 3 days. On Friday, April 25th, we have rounds 2 and 3. Gates will open at noon as well as draft experience. We will confirm the pre-show shortly. Draft Theater, however, on Friday will open at 6 p.m. and will close at 11. Here we have, again, all three networks that will be broadcasting Draft throughout the 3-day experience. Last but definitely not least, Saturday, April 26th, Draft will open a bit earlier, and that's at 9 a.m. Draft Experience will open at 9 a.m. as well. Draft Theater will close. Draft Theater will begin around 11 a.m. and we will close the footprint at 6 p.m. Next, I'm going to take you through a bit of our style guide. So the style guide, it encompasses just the nuances, the culture of not only Green Bay, but Wisconsin as well. And so I have some great just messaging from our creative team who really pulled this together and again leverage the culture of not only the city but the state. So here we have overall, this year's draft thematic is built by community. So it celebrates the connection the local community has with the Green Bay Packers. And we've really done this through a handcrafted motif, which you'll see come to life within the following slides. Starting here, you'll see with the logo, the draft logo for Green Bay takes on a wooden motif, which speaks to the barns that comprise the region, as well as a nod to Wisconsin's lumber industry, which you'll see throughout the visual narrative. Our official draft font is called Bristle and contains a brush aesthetic to deliver on that handcrafted feel. Here we have a sampling of draft patterns within our toolkit that are a nod to the industry, not only to the industry and farming, so much like the land plot pattern on the left and the crop line pattern on the lower right. And to further deliver on this idea of community, we've created these image clusters, collages that speak to the Green Bay community in a really unique way. Here, you will find, as mentioned earlier, with Wisconsin being a leader in the lumber industry, it only made sense to really stylize each team logo in this wooden motif. And so you see it here with the Green Bay Packers logo. You also see it here with the New England Patriots logo. Last but definitely not least, as I mentioned earlier, with Wisconsin being a leader in the lumber industry, we really just wanted to bring to life the woodcut motif that you'll see. And you'll see this baked in all 32 club logos that'll be pretty much, they'll live across our broadcast and other avenues over the 3-day period. And so I'm going to toss it to Jen Marks and Kelsey Petrangelo to take you through the site layout and access.
Thank you, Ashley, and thank you everyone for having us tonight. I'm Kelsey Petrangelo with our live event operations team. In a moment, I will turn it over to Jen Marks to really get into the detail here on the next couple slides. But we're very excited. We are a few weeks out, 25 days to be exact, from the first truck rolling in to really start on our theater build. So the excitement just continues to build from here on out as we progress through the overall plans. The big piece that you'll see here is there's a lot that's happening. There's a lot of real estate that we do take over, but we do it in a phased approach. So what we'll walk you through in a minute as it relates to road closures and the surrounding areas is really how can we be the least impactful to the overall community and the businesses and everyone in the surrounding area. So by us kind of taking a deeper dive into it and looking at what roads maybe we can hold off on a little bit longer and how do we continue to start somewhere and then build on that plan overall. So with that, I will turn it over to Jen to start kind of talking you through what these colors mean, what the different areas are, and how that phased approach exactly works.
Thanks, Kelsey. Good evening. So we have a few slides to show you that kind of take you through both the macro and micro of the site build. Obviously, this kind of shows the large kind of 10,000 foot up view of what the overall build timeline looks like. And to Kelsey's original comment, we do try and stagger in the build. The theater structure where the show takes place takes the longest to build out. So we try to condense our site into that small footprint that you'll see in bright green. That build will start March 29th. And then it'll also be on the back side, the last one that we, kind of vacate. So that full build goes from March 29th to May 6th. And then as we go through the timeline, getting towards show week, we start to layer in additional footprints of the site plan. The next phase in is the blue area that encompasses more of the east parking lots at Lambeau Field, and then a parking lot on the south side. And then, moving into mid-April, we start to really look at that full campus takeover where we expand onto the west side of the site in Titletown, the west and southwest parking lots at Lambeau Field, and then take over, excuse me, the remainder of the Resch complex with the arena and Armed Forces Drive. So you'll see us kind of at that mid-April timeline really start to expand and be a lot more noticeable. And then with the stadium really kind of being more utilized on that show week itself. So, to Kelsey's original comment, we really do try to be mindful of the amount of impact that we have on the community. It is a massive site, but we try to take over the space that we need when we need it and not too far in advance of that. All right, so this footprint here will show you a picture of what it would look like on an event day. So for our event days are Thursday, April 24th through Saturday, April 26th. We will also do a site lockdown on Wednesday, April 23rd. So that's a day prior to our first event day where we do a security sweep of the campus, and we can talk more about that later. But this is essentially what, fans coming to site will experience as they arrive. The stars identify our two general admission fan entries that are located on the west and southwest side of the site that really draw people in and through the experience that Nikki will speak to. And then, as the day goes on, folks will make their way over to the east side of the site where the Draft Theater is located in Lot 3 of Lambeau Field. And then we'll utilize the Resch complex for a lot of our back of house show functionality, the Prospect Green Room, where the players will get drafted from and make their way to stage, where the media operations are hubbed, and then a lot of our additional back of house officing, our broadcast compound where all of the broadcast networks bring their trucks, et cetera. So that is really meant to identify, the fan zones identified, through the green of the experience moving towards the yellow for theater viewing, and then orange signifies our back of house areas, and the surrounding road closures that would impact crowd and traffic flow around the site. With the support of all the locals and PD and DOT, we'll be trying to message to fans with a lot of know before you go. And Mike will speak a little bit more to that to, inform our fans on how to get around the site. And then this speaks a little bit more to the phased approach specifically for road closures themselves. So similar to the site build, we do the same thing with our road closures, where that green phase 1 really just accounts for the initial theater build that we would be taking over right on March 29th. And then as we continue through the phases of the site expansion, we would also expand our closures to encompass more of the site. And, with the full takeover, if you will, being that phase 4 there that shows the orange, and that would include phase 4 would include all of the phases before it as well. So the full color spectrum there shows you an event day closure, and some of those roads do sit within inside our secure perimeter on the event site itself, like that green portion of Oneida, whereas others would be more ancillary to support pedestrian movements and maintain safety for a crowd, walking to the gates or around the site. This just supports some of the previous maps that we've shown you, but basically identifies our key dates in our site build, beginning with March 29th, which is when we will begin our load in. That will also initiate the phase 1 of our road closure plan. And then going through mid-April, we begin the second phase of our road closure plan along with the coordinating experience build. And that's really where the footprint that will take place in Titletown and the west side of the site. So that's kind of back on the original slide where you started to see, that full east-west expansion. And then we go into our event day closures that get phased in over the 23rd of April, which is that Wednesday prior to our first event day on Thursday. Full phase 4 closures will be taking place the 24th through 26th. And then as we do on load in, we'll begin to stagger out and reopen the roads on load out. So we have identified dates to go along with those reopenings. But what we always say is that as our operations team clears the site, if we can open up roads earlier, we absolutely will. There's no reason for us to hold on to them. As soon as we get all the equipment off of them and it's safe to reopen them, we absolutely do that. So these dates are subject to move around a bit, but these are targets that we're aiming to hit. And we do have a plan in place to support Aaron and some of our other local community members. We have a gentleman that is locally based, Gary Baranowski, who will be supporting communication to the local businesses and property owners surrounding the site. And he will message things like road closures, access, the frequency of deliveries that are available. And so he'll work individually with property owners, based on their individual needs, because a business and homeowners are all very different. So we'll be communicating to them and working with them directly on what their access and needs look like throughout all of these closures and event days to make sure that they still have access to their property and that we are being as accommodating and minimally impactful as possible. So these are just a couple of key takeaways. This is a lot of what we'll be messaging tomorrow in our town hall as well. But just mostly that we will be, we know that we are impactful to the local community, but we're going to work diligently and we are committed to making sure that we are as accommodating and as least impactful as possible for each individual. And that, we recognizing that we are, that we do kind of create a bit of a hubbub. We do recommend if there are businesses that have the ability to work from home, we do tend to recommend that just around peak dates. And we can, again, work with each group on that specific plan. I think that's it. So we'll turn it to our colleague, Nick Yule, to talk you through the experience. Thank you.
Excited to take you through the draft experience. This is our football festival that's the companion to all of the activity happening on the draft theater. So this is a little taste from previous years, but on the top left, you'll see our autograph stage. We'll have a number of NFL active players and legends. Certainly Packers legends and active players will be part of this for free autographs and meet and greets. As John mentioned, we do celebrate all 32. So there is photo opportunities, interactive games. We'll celebrate the Vince Lombardi Trophy, as well as a lot of interactive games and photo opportunities. So a really great opportunity for fans of all ages. We have our smallest fans in Titletown, where we'll have NFL flags, skills, and drills taking place. We have a Play 60 zone, but we also have a lot of cold Bud Light too. So it's for families and friends to gather. It's a wonderful gathering place. It's really about community, as a number of my colleagues have mentioned. We want to really bring people together and count down to what will be an amazing 3 days of the draft. Just a little overview of hours of operation. I know Ashley, my colleague, spoke a little bit about that, but the beauty of the draft is we don't know how long the clubs will take on the clock. So what we do have are fixed hours related to the fan festival, which is the draft experience. So Thursday, we'll be opening our doors, that's the 24th, at noon to 10 o'clock. Friday, noon to 10 o'clock. And then on Saturday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. So what we do at the draft, because we don't know how long the teams will take on the clock. We shut down the games and attractions at 10 p.m. But the business of the draft, which will take place on the stage, it's a business meeting at its core, will continue, and you can watch the draft in its totality on all of the screens that will be throughout the draft. It's about 70 football fields worth of programming that we have on the exterior of the stadium. And as John mentioned, we're having a lot of activities inside Lambeau Field and on the field itself proper as well. So you're never going to be too far from the draft, even if you don't have a seat inside the theater. One thing to mention on the theater proper, that is a pre-selected fans and guests. The majority of our fans that are coming to the site will be general admission, which means they'll be in the standing room only space behind the theater. So as you saw in the Detroit sizzle reel, that sea of blue jerseys, it'll be a sea of green jerseys here. And those are standing room only seats. So they're first come, first serve. You can, of course, come into the draft experience once you go through the security screening. We are clear bag policy. Once you're in, you're in. You can free flow between the draft experience parking lots inside Lambeau. If you do leave the perimeter in any way, you just have to go through screening once again. A couple of things on the programming side of things, as I mentioned with some of the photos that were there and in the sizzle reel, interactive games and exhibits, they're for fans of all ages. We do have some age restrictions around the flag clinics that'll be at Titletown. Those are for boys and girls ages 6 to 14. There is access to the Lambeau Field, which we're really excited about, for a Lambeau Leap photo op, the red carpet for the prospects, as well as a field goal kick. We also have a number of NFL partners that'll be activating, and they'll do their own meet and greets and NFL player autographs and giveaways. NFL Shop, presented by Visa, will have draft merchandise as well as all 32 represented. One Pass pricing, I'm going to take you through One Pass here in a second, but it's our companion app to the live event. We also are featuring a Wisconsin Supper Club concessions experience curated with our friends at Delaware North, but also a number of local restaurants that will be curating the food and beverage, and they keep 100% of their earnings. Again, 32 clubs represented. We'll have NFL flag clinics, and one of the most coveted things, of course, is seeing our players with their helmets off. So you'll see a lot of NFL players and legends that'll be traversing across the campus. One Pass, we're excited to launch the One Pass app. It actually dropped today for the draft section. So the main call to action for all of our friends in the community is to download the One Pass app or visit nfl.com/draft access. The event is 100% free, except for whatever you purchase at concessions, which again, all of the restaurants keep 100% of their revenue, or whatever you purchase at NFL Shop presented by Visa. Otherwise, the event is completely free. But in order to make sure that we have a safe experience for all of our fans, we want to know how many fans to expect and what day they're potentially coming. So if you go into the One Pass app now, I encourage you all to download the app. It'll have registration, and adults can register up to 5 minors. So if you're bringing little ones, you can register up to 5 minors. You'll get a QR code that's generated, and that QR code will appear in the top right of your app. You'll also get it in your email, and that is your access to get into the gates. If you're an adult, you'll want to register yourself. If you are having tech issues, you're not tech savvy, come on down to the site. We'll get you registered when you get there. So no worries. There's no barrier to entry at anything that we're doing at the draft. A couple of other things that we're going to layer in. My friends are going to take you through the transportation. I know Kelsey mentioned it a little bit. As we have that information about transportation and parking, that'll be layered in the coming weeks. It'll also have a daily schedule. So the number one thing that fans want to know, in addition to programming on the stage, is who's coming to sign autographs, who's doing meet and greets, where can I see NFL players. That schedule is exclusively in the NFL One Pass app. There's a schedule tab at the bottom of the app. You can tap that and you can see the schedule over the course of those 3 days. So we'll continue to populate that even during the event. You'll see more names pop up. Maps and wayfinding will have a fan-friendly map that fans can use to navigate the site. There'll be 2 general admission entries, but we want to make sure that fans have a really seamless experience. So download the One Pass app and you'll have a clearer idea of what to expect. This is not a Packers home game. This is not training camp. This is a different overlay of security. So we just want to make sure they're prepared. There's a lot of know before you go information also for visitors to this amazing community. Hotel information. Nick Meisner has been wonderful on letting our fans know who don't live in the region what to expect. So a lot of information about hotel opportunities as well. There's an AI chat bot. It's called Ask Vince. So that if you have questions, you can pop that in there too. So again, registration is open today. We also have a inbox for fans who have questions. It's experience.support@nfl.com. I go in there multiple times a day to make sure that we're updating the questions that are being asked, updating the frequently asked questions so that we know, so our fans know what to expect when they get on site on the 24th. And I'm gonna turn it over to our friends in transportation.
Thank you, Nikki. Mr. Mayor, council members, thank you for the opportunity. On behalf of myself, Mike Whitty, and my partner here, Nick Meisner with Discover Green Bay, we are thrilled to be here and go over some of the elements of the overall transportation and parking plan. I have to say, team, that we've been to a lot of drafts. I've actually had the opportunity to work on previous 27 Super Bowls, and I've never seen more dedication and collaboration from the city, the county, the village, and the state on putting together an overall effective traffic management plan in support of the draft and the draft campus. What Nick's job and my job now is to do is actually take that information, put it together into very fan-friendly collateral materials, and start publicizing that information so fans can be successful and guests can be successful as they actually visit the Green Bay area. How do we do that? Whoops, a little too fast. Through fan communications. As Nikki stated, we have the One Pass, but we've actually gone through putting together an overall elaborate neighborhood and business zones, north, south, east, and west. There'll be several fan approaches to the general audience entry 1 and 2 on the south side that was mentioned. The team has actually put together overall transportation charter and shuttle services locations for drop off on pickup. On the east side of campus, we're highlighting Mike McCarthy Way from Bart Starr Drive to Holmgren Way. On the west side of campus, we're actually highlighting Lombardi Avenue. And that's through a very elaborate traffic management plan that will help in moving traffic from Interstate 41 so they can achieve getting to the south side of the campus for neighborhood parking and or be directed to the north side of campus for neighborhood parking in that area. Also, that parking communication will live on the NFL One Pass and Discover Green Bay website at greenbay.com. More detailed information and maps to be provided and be forthcoming. We'll actually be looking at including maps on the road closure information on Discover Green Bay, greenbay.com. We'll also have park and walk and fan parking. Nick's going to go through the incredible responses that he's received from the community on different parking areas that are available to fans and more to come. And then we'll also take a look at potential rideshare locations on the east side of campus, again on Reggie White Way, and on the west side of campus at St. Agnes Drive from Ridge Road all the way up to Fifth Street. And again, not to forget different components of a multimodal transport plan. We're looking at how scooters may be able to support in the Green Bay area down to campus and back, as well as not forgetting and always having in mind our ADA or mobility challenge folks coming up with mobility parking options and also ways in which folks with mobility challenges can reach out to Discover Green Bay and the mobility team in support of the draft to make sure that their experience is at the top of the bar. And without further ado, Nick, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you so much, Mike. It's always tough to follow Mike. Thanks for having me. Again, I just want to echo what everyone has said. It's been just an amazing experience, and thank you to the NFL and your team for coming out today and speaking to our community. I know it means a lot to everybody in this room. But like Mike said, we just want to talk about not transportation planning or anything like that, because I'm not a transportation expert, but I am a communication expert, and these are some of the various ways that we're going to get fans prepared to be able to come to our area, to be able to access our area, and to be able to traverse our area. So there's 3 core areas of updates when it comes to the communication around some of the logistical items. with the parking, with shuttles and charters. And just a quick definition for everyone in this room. When we talk about, shuttles, we're talking about how people can get around within the community, whether that be through the Tavern League or city buses or anything like that. Charters is what we refer to as the buses coming into the area. So just now that we have those defined, we'll just start with parking. We had over nearly 300 responses so far to the parking survey that went out. So a big thank you to Green Bay and Ashwaubenon as well, who helped with resident cultivation in putting together the parking map. So we appreciate that support, as you all have been so supportive through this whole process. But like Mike mentioned, we'll be, splitting this up into various zones so we can continue through social media and other forms of communication like the OnePass app to share where parking around the footprint is available. And this will be continually updated in real time between now and the event as people enter their parking information. This is available on greenbay.com/draft25. And if you go to the parking tab, residents, alders in this that represent this area, if you guys could help get the word out, that would be amazing. We are not trying to, tell them how they can sell them or do anything with the dollars that are involved with that. We are just strictly bringing this asset to a fan communication resource. So we'll be able to tell people where they can and can't go park. When you click on each one of these dots on the website, it will also layer in details, addresses, number of spaces available. We don't ask price. That's not something we're interested in. But I know my colleagues and friends over here were surprised when I suggested we add if they were able to use their bathrooms or if tailgating's allowed. I don't think they were used to that level of hospitality. So then, excuse me, moving on to shuttles. We've been working really, really closely. We have a similar map of the Tavern League shuttles that you all have been aware of. Over 40 shuttles that they're recruiting drivers for now and are getting background checked through Brown County. So it's an amazing program that was supported by some state funds that is really going to help get people around. I think one layer of this that's not talked about enough is it's not only getting people around the footprint and to access all the amazing things with the NFL draft, but also outreaching to the hotels in Brown County, and we're hitting almost all of them. There will be shuttles dedicated to going in near the footprint and dropping where people can walk and then getting people back out to those areas. Also on shuttles, I just want to shout out to the Green Bay Metro and the work that Mayor and Joe are doing with working with those bus routes. Those will be publicized on all the Green Bay channels, I'm sure, but also on Discover Green Bay's website through various fan communication. Mike did touch on the charters a little bit, but we have been doing some nitty-gritty research and coming up with our list of motor coach companies throughout Wisconsin, Minnesota, and Illinois. We've included all of their contact information as well as various industry sources that will be able to maintain communication not only with the fans that are on their buses through the NFL OnePass app, but also through their dispatch services. So if there is anything that comes up, we will be able to communicate directly, quickly, and effectively to the dispatchers at the motor coach areas to tell them that we need to slow down, speed up, what the capacity is, where to go, all in real time. So that's the transportation and logistics communications update. I'm happy to chat with anybody afterwards, or you all know my email is just nick@greenbay.com. You guys have that already though. Thank you.
My name is Ralph Ennis. I'm with NFL Security. Our job is to make sure we have a safe event. I'm happy to say that working with the public safety in Green Bay has been an absolute pleasure. And John Barker hit it on the nose. The level of collaboration has just been unbelievable. So I'm going to walk you through quickly what we're going to do to make you safe and some things I want to point out to you. First, threat assessments. We have been and continue to be monitoring anything that could be a threat to this draft. We're working with Green Bay Police, the FBI, and we have a whole team of analysts in Mount Laurel, New Jersey that every day look for anything that comes up about Green Bay and our draft. I'm happy to report there are no credible threats to this point. Heart and perimeter. You will see a lot of concrete and vehicle barriers outside of the draft footprint. This is to prevent any kind of intrusion that very much like we saw in New Orleans recently. So we're not going to allow that to happen in Green Bay, and there'll be a lot of concrete. Security screening. You're not going to be able to get into the footprint without going through a magnetometer or a X-ray if you have an ADA need. We also will have, for any vehicles entering the footprint, we'll have dogs and vehicle screening looking for bombs trying to be brought into the footprint. This is one I want to point out: prohibited items and clear bag policy. On one pass, there will be a list of things that are not allowed to be brought into the draft, and some dimensions for the types of bags that we will allow to come in. To help prevent somebody from coming and being turned away, it's very important that everybody knows what they're allowed to bring in or not bring in, because it won't be coming in the footprint. I talked about explosive detection canines. At our entrances, we will also have dogs walking around, very friendly dogs, but they're sniffing for explosives that may be on people. So if you see them milling around the entrances, that's what they're there for. Emergency preparedness and operations plans. We have thought of virtually everything that could possibly happen, and we've been working with the fire department, the EMS, and the police department to ensure we have plans in place to put people in a place that's safe if there's an emergency. If there's a weather event or any other kind of, emergency that pops up, we will have good communication and plans to tell people where to go. This is another big one. Drones. There will be a temporary flight restriction around all the events. Drones, unless you're a government drone or a pre-approved drone, will not allowed to be flown. So that I say that to say is that if there's some random person out there with a drone up in the air, we're going to have the police go and pay them a visit because they're in violation of federal code. So it's important that we get the word out that drones aren't allowed during event days. Another one that's important is that we use cameras. We use numbers for people coming in and analytics to kind of keep an eye on how many people are in the draft. And we have plans with the police and the fire and all to make sure we don't have an overcrowding issue. So there may be, in Detroit, there was a time there where we had to temporarily shut down people coming in so we could address the amount of people in there. So just know if that happens, it's because we're monitoring it and we're trying to make sure it stays safe. And the last thing is goes back to my first comment, is that it's just been unbelievable, the collaboration we've had going into this draft. I'm very comfortable that we're in a good spot, and you have a great police department and fire department in Green Bay. And actually, we're getting a lot of support from, the greater law enforcement community in the Green Bay area and fire department community, and it's been great. That's it. I'm going to turn it over to Belinda Gardner from Community Inclusion.
Good evening, everyone. I'm going to bring us home now that Ralph depressed us and talked about security. So community inclusion, I think you kind of heard it all tonight, how we have really put a strong effort in bringing in the culture of Wisconsin as well as Green Bay all throughout the draft. We've been here a lot of times. We've been here for about a year, been able to talk to a lot of different community groups, as well as just people within Green Bay. And I think you're going to start to see a lot of those pieces come to life, especially the week of draft. We have had a really intentional effort to ensure that whether that is the food, the music, how, the broadcast shows up, all of those different elements that makes Green Bay what it is, those are going to show up and they're going to be talked about in a way that we really feel like you all will be proud of. When it comes to just business engagement, we've had the pleasure of working with the Packers to really understand the different businesses that are across Green Bay as well as Wisconsin. We launched the Draft Source program here and have been able to engage a lot of different businesses, and our tier 1 suppliers have been able to connect with them, and we're seeing a lot of those contracts come through. We're unable to really talk about the numbers yet because we're still reporting and we're still solidifying different things, but we're really excited to see, how, you all will see your business community come across over the next couple of months. But I kept it short, and that's that.
All right, I know we have been in front of you for a while, so we appreciate the time today. But one thing that is key here is the community engagement. So all the amazing work Belinda does, I'm going to piggyback off of that and share just a bit more about our community relations and social responsibility team and the work they do. Not only do they do legacy initiatives, and that includes greening events and partnering, with local nonprofits, so on and so forth, to bring community initiatives to life that'll live beyond draft. In addition, we engage with the next generation of fans, and that's through our draft prospect and youth football clinic. Community moments that really inspire. Here, what we do is we include specialty draft picks into the programming as well as military honor moments. And last but definitely not least, we partner with NG, who focuses on energy conservation, carbon offsets, and material recovery program. Again, that's just a small bit of the larger picture, but that's our time. So I'm going to toss it to John, who will wrap us up here.
Again, Mr. Mayor, council members, thank you very much for the time and the opportunity. I hope that we've demonstrated to you that a lot of work and a lot of collaboration goes into producing the draft. And it's not just about thousands of people and big tent structures. It's about the fine details as well. It's about how do you engage the community? The work that we do to bring local business in, all the way down to the small details of celebrating lumber and putting that into a decor piece. That's what draft is really about. So hopefully tonight we've demonstrated the work that goes into this and what this can become. It really is 3 days to celebrate this great game, celebrate this community, and have a lot of fun along the way. So again, thank you for your time tonight. We're looking forward to the next few weeks with you, and then looking forward to shining a very big spotlight on this great community. So thanks for that. Appreciate it.
Excellent. Well, thanks so much for the presentation. More importantly, for all the work that the entire team, as well as our local partners, Green Bay Packers and Discover Green Bay, have devoted to the planning and preparation for this event. Really impressive work represented by the presentation tonight. So any questions from our council for our guests, Alder Eck?
How do we get one of the jackets? They're cool.
Those jackets were provided by the Green Bay Packers. Aaron is right here.
Thank you. Pro shop, yeah.
Yeah, or you have a dad who's a tour guide who will buy you one at the pro shop.
Okay.
Yeah. Alder Johnson.
Thank you, Mayor. I am curious, a lot of times this is talked about as a once in a lifetime opportunity. Does this have to be a once in a lifetime opportunity? What are the chances that we could attract it back with a successful execution? And one more question, what would it take to be the person that gets to announce Alder Weary's successful draft to the Chicago Bears?
I'm going to leave that one alone. I'll tell you what, let's get through this one. Celebrate it, have a great time, and then on Monday we can sit down and have a chat.
Lovely.
Fair enough. Okay.
Anything else from council?
All right.
Thanks so much.
Thank you all
Sincerely.
very much.
Appreciate it.
Good luck with the Bears.
Right. Motion to adjourn? No, we've got a whole meeting in front of us. Next, I think we have public hearing. So public hearing on a request to amend the Smart Growth 2022 Comprehensive Plan for 500 Day Street from future industrial land use to downtown land use. So we'll let the crowd clear out a little bit here. But if you are here for 500 Day Street, this would be the appropriate time to speak. It's a public hearing, so you can just come approach the podium, state your name and address, and give us your comments.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My name is Chris Brennan. I'm the Public Affairs Manager for Georgia Pacific's Green Bay operations. I have been in front of you a few times, so I'm back again. So I'd like to provide a few comments related to this amendment. So Georgia Pacific has requested at the January 13th Plan Commission and at the January 21st Common Council meetings that the city please hold or defer this proposed zoning amendment. This allows GP to have ongoing discussions with potential buyers without being restricted by the potential of new zoning requirements. The company has been engaged with the city's economic development group, the mayor, council members to discuss potential buyers and future uses of the property. Our intention is to continue to stay engaged. Georgia Pacific is concerned that if the site doesn't attract a buyer due to this expedited zoning action, it will remain vacant, pose site management challenges, and fail to contribute any positive benefit to the downtown area, the community, or to the local economy for many years to come. This situation would not accomplish the proposed vision or direction the city is seeking. Again, Georgia Pacific is asking the Common Council to postpone this zoning action to allow further collaboration on future use between Georgia Pacific, the city, potential buyers, and thereby ensure that the planned future use is achievable and mutually beneficial to the community, the city, the potential buyer, and to Georgia Pacific. Thank you.
Any questions for our guests? Thank you. Anyone else for the public hearing?
Hello, can anybody hear me?
We have somebody online.
Yes, Brad Piet with the Fox Valley Lake Superior Rail System.
And if you could just also state your address, sir.
Address is 1890 East Johnson Street, Madison, Wisconsin.
All right, go ahead.
All right, appreciate allowing me to speak here. Apologies for not being there in person. It's my mother's birthday and it's my wife's spring break. So a trip was planned and I answered a higher powers. So I'm coming to you live from a hotel room. But I wanted to speak on this issue. This is an important issue for the Foxy rail system. Growing up in Luxembourg, I'm well aware of the area industry and the jobs it provides. The economic value and wealth created by area industry beyond the property tax base is pretty profound. But also my family, recreational boats, and we've traversed the Fox River many times for recreational purposes. So I understand the value of tourism as well. The Fox Valley and Lake Superior Rail System, Foxy, has outlined many of our concerns with the conversion of the 500 Day Street parcel from general industrial to downtown 2, be it safety, dust, noise, traffic, and our particular issue with not getting noted, the complimentary notice, having it go to the former owner, which put us behind the 8 ball in responding and in getting engaged on this issue on the front end. We understand, Foxy understands the city's desire to grow development and tax base along the river and preventing an adverse development on the 500 Day Street parcel, which is near to the downtown. However, there really exists no other similar parcel along the Foxy's lines or in Green Bay in particular for an industry to locate that combines existing power, water, gas, rail access, and potential water access. We don't even know if a boat could even come to the dock there. I've asked DNR and I've asked the port because there's a cap in the river due to the PCB. So that may not even be an option. But the city's aggressive rezone action on this parcel has likely killed some interest in the site, which has only been on the market since October. And this is concern for us as an area industry. Foxy is looking at down the barrel at an $18.4 million price tag to update our 2 bridges across the Fox River in the city of Green Bay. And both the city and the port have asked us to look into replacing our North Bridge to accommodate wider vessels and growing Great Lakes cruising industry so that they can make vessel calls in the city of Green Bay. But replacing a bridge is going to come at a much higher price tag than just replacing and fixing what is there. And as a for-profit business, we need to generate a return on those investments. We'd love to help Green Bay grow its tourism business on the Fox River, but it cannot come solely at the expense of losing business on our line. Therefore, we are asking that the city vote no on this issue, send it back to Planning Commission or city staff to come up with some alternate proposals on way to address the city's concerns, but continue this parcel being used as an industrial site. Thank you for allowing me to comment. Much appreciated.
All right, thank you, sir. Anyone else in the room?
Good evening, Mayor and council members. My name is Lisa Josser, and I am here on behalf of the Greater Green Bay Chamber located at 300 North Broadway. Georgia Pacific has been a longstanding partner in our community, as we know, operating multiple facilities and recently investing over $500 million in their Broadway facility, further demonstrating their deep commitment to local economic growth. Their presence has created jobs, supported local suppliers, and strengthened our industrial sector. As the Chamber, we work to support a thriving business environment and recognize the importance of thoughtful land use planning. We also understand that businesses navigating property transitions benefit from open and collaborative discussions. Ensuring a collaborative approach to land use decisions benefits not just Georgia Pacific, but all businesses navigating investment and property transitions in our community. Given this, we encourage continued dialogue between the city and the business to ensure an approach that supports both economic growth and the city's long-term vision. We greatly appreciate the city's commitment to planning and economic development, and we encourage continued discussion with all stakeholders to work together to reach a resolution that respects both the needs of the business and the broader community. Thank you.
Anyone else? All right, with that, we will conclude our public hearing on that item and move along to ordinance's second reading of, for adoption. Alder Johnson? Alder Johnson?
Would make a motion to suspend the rules to take up items 1 and 2.
Alder Johnson makes motion to suspend the rules, take up both of these items with one roll call vote. That was seconded by Alder Profit. All in favor will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. You guys have the rules are suspended.
And then I would make a motion to hold this item until the next city council meeting.
Second. Alder Johnson makes motion to hold this item, seconded by Alder Galvin. Discussion on that?
Yeah, I want to thank those that have obviously come before us to speak today, and of course the ongoing dialogue and investment from Georgia Pacific in our community. We've had a couple of meetings, and of course Alder Profit, this is her district, and she's been a part of those meetings, and right across the East River is where my district stands. And so I think as a courtesy, a few of us have been involved in those meetings, and I think it bears repeating that because I don't know that it's widely maybe known that the city continues to be open to industrial uses on that site. I think the challenge that we've been presented with is, when you start to look at redevelopment opportunities around that immediate perimeter, the current zoning that exists on that site really provides for any type of use, right? So somebody could, in theory, come in with a big pile of coal or anything else that they'd want to do, and so the purpose of sort of reducing the zoning code down to downtown was to give us more flexibility, not only to allow us to exercise some priorities around the development of the East River, sort of the gateway of how that works into the rest of our community, but really recognizing that site, it isn't about necessarily trying to encourage downtown development on that site per se, as it is to try to get our arms around how we get into a cooperative conversation around the types of uses that could potentially exist for a buyer. So I think we are open and continue to remain open to industrial uses on that site. I think it's, you know, some of the conversations, of course, have alluded to that, but it does make a ton of sense to have that transition from Procter and Gamble to the East River. And so I think this hold allows us a little bit of extra time to continue those conversations. I think we've had some productive dialogue via email, phone conversations, and other ways that really illustrate some different ways that we can achieve there and get there so that everybody feels like their interests are protected. And I think a hold is the right move to allow us to do that. So I would encourage other members of council to support that. 2 weeks is not an infinitely long amount of time. And so I also want to be fair in recognizing that it's possible we may not get all the way there in 2 weeks, but at least it allows us to continue those conversations, and we'll make, you know, whatever the next decision might be in 2 weeks.
Alder. Additional comments on that motion, Alder Prophet?
I just wanted to echo what Alder Johnson said, and I too am supportive, of course, of the hold. It is a property within my district, but I also wanted to thank a lot of the people that are stakeholders in this decision. Brad, online, I know you weren't able to be here in person, but really appreciate not only our phone conversation, but thank you for helping set up a tour of the site for me. I'm kind of a hands-on learner, so I really appreciate that opportunity. This is a big site and a big decision before this entire body in regards to this rezone. And I am a product of a parent that from that industry, specifically Georgia Pacific, and worked at that plant. So I really do take this decision with a lot of weight on my shoulder, but I appreciate the hold and I think it's the right move. So I hope this body supports that.
Any other comments? Seeing none, all in favor will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and both of those items are held over until our next meeting of common council, which is Tuesday, March 18th. With that, we're on to report of the redevelopment authority. Motion to approve made by Alder Prophet and seconded by Alder Hinkfus. Any items here to be handled separately? We'll just take up one right now.
1 and 2,
Yeah.
I guess 3 is only informational.
Yeah. So we'll just move on to item 1. Motion there. Motion to approve made by Alder Johnson. Seconded by Alder Hinkfus. Was pulled by Alder Johnson.
Thank you, Mayor. Had a conversation with their CEO, Keith, earlier today. This is the MOU regarding Sea Rice Terminals. That was Redevelopment Authority had adopted this and showed support for the city's efforts, collaboratively working to be able to provide some documentation that demonstrates that support as part of their RFI response to the county. While that's going, you know, through the process, I would imagine the RDA approved one was probably included with that RFI, but acknowledging that this still needed to be adopted by council, and that's why it is in front of us. There are 2 amendments that I would like to offer, both of which were supported by Keith over at Sea Rice. And so I'll just maybe offer them one at a time. And the first one would be under item 2, and this would be creating a new section 2C. Sea Rice agrees to collaborate with the city on the development of a site development plan for the northern 10 plus or minus acres that is compatible with downtown zoning uses. And just a little bit of background on this, the purpose of the amendment is it's not to obligate Sea Rice to have to do anything in particular, but it would demonstrate a commitment to participate with us on the master plan for that site so that we can guide the types of uses we would like to see on that site, but more importantly, the types of uses that would attract in you know, more likelihood, I guess, TIF investment, because then it's supporting the advancement of the plan that we've mutually built together. So that is why I'm proposing that amendment.
Alder Johnson makes that motion to amend. Second by Alder Weary. Discussion on that? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. That amendment succeeds.
Thank you, Mayor. And then I would offer up a new item under Article 2. This will be again a new line. In the event that the Sea Rice proposal is not selected by the county, this MOU and all its terms and conditions herein shall automatically terminate. And part of the reason I'm offering this one as well is because I don't want these conditions to exist in perpetuity. And because I think if the RFI is not selected in advance by the county, I think we need to reset the table and talk about, you know, how this MOU might change to accommodate whatever new proposal might come forward. So that's why I'm recommending that.
Alder Johnson makes that, motion to amend and is seconded by Alder Prophet. Any discussion on that? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed nay, the ayes have it.
I make a motion to adopt as amended.
Alder Johnson moves to adopt as amended, seconded by Alder DeLee. Discussion on that? Seeing none, all in favor will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed nay, the ayes have it, and that, item is approved. On item 2.
Move to approve.
Second. Motion to approve made by Alder Johnson, seconded by Alder Galvin. Alder Johnson on that?
Yep, thank you, Mayor. And again, I just want to commend staff on this one. This has been a property that's obviously been in city possession for a while, and it's really exciting to see a development agreement instead of just interest in the property. So kudos to staff on getting there and finding a path forward to really preserve these buildings as well, which I think was critically important. There is one amendment that I would offer, very minor one that is being recommended here by legal, and that is to add, let me see, there is a contingency on the developer securing all necessary approvals through the State Historic Preservation Office, SHPO, and the Landmarks Commission. So that is a motion to amend to add that language.
To, remove.
Oh, sorry, that's what I meant. Motion to strike that language.
To remove, so it's like it's part of that last sentence, contingent on the developer securing all necessary approvals through the State Historic Preservation Office and the Landmarks Commission. That language is not necessary. So Alder Johnson makes a motion to delete that language, correct?
Mhm.
Is there a second for that? Seconded by Alder Galvin. Any discussion on the amendment, Alder Eck?
Okay, so I just want to clarify, so, you want to remove it, saying that they would have to meet requirements to preserve this historic value of the building?
They'll have to do that by default. This, in a way, I think implies that once the Landmarks Commission gives that consent, it's done, right? I think that's why we're removing it.
Yeah, I mean, we have, just to jump in, and then Alder, or, Attorney Bunger could add to this. But, one important thing to note is the SHPO, the State Historic Preservation Office, does not have that kind of authority. They don't approve things per se. They offer consultation, to local units of government on historic properties, so they don't have the power to approve or deny something. So that's an important, piece to recognize here. And then, you know, whether or not this moves through the Landmarks Commission itself is not necessarily a fait accompli. There's a process where some of these projects can be approved administratively by our Director of Community and Economic Development. So we don't want to necessarily say that this project has to go through Landmarks when there is the ability for the director to approve certain modifications in certain circumstances.
Okay.
But I don't know if Attorney Bungert or
But
Deputy Director.
they still have to
Buchanan-
be in compliance with the landmarks.
Correct.
Okay,
ordinance.
just because, it'd be nice to maintain that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just more about the process rather than the compliance. If that makes sense.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
this is Cheryl.
Oh, I thought it was the voice of God. Go ahead, Director Ranieri.
I just want to state that I plan on working with our historic pres person, the owners of the buildings, to make sure that we make that building the best it can be, the way the way we'd like it to look historically. But I do have the ability to make those provisions and work through a COA, much like I did with you remember Mr. Drury when we had the issue with the house a while back. We were able to work that out together, and that's what we plan to do on this one as well.
Thanks for chiming in.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none, all in favor will say aye. Aye. Opposed nay. The ayes have it, and that was just the amendment.
Yeah, motion to approve is amended.
Amendment was adopted. Alder Johnson makes a motion to approve as amended, seconded by Alder DeLee. Discussion here. Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed nay. The ayes have it. That item has been approved. Improvement and Services Committee. Motion to approve made by Alder Prophet and seconded by Alder Stevens. Items here to be handled separately. 3 will be handled separately. Any others? Hearing none others, all in favor of approving the remainder of the agenda will signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The agenda has been approved with the exception of item 3. Your wishes on that item, Alder Hankfus?
Thank you, Mayor. Last Wednesday, when the committee held their meeting, I was not able to attend. I had a medical emergency with my daughter. So I would like to speak to this, and I'd like to make a motion to approve the appeal regarding Craig Francis at Shelter Creek. And I apologize for the committee that I was not there. The reason that I think we need to look at this is I have a real difficult time with erring on the side of giving somebody a fine that is trying to do what they're supposed to do for the city. This came up in November, and Shelter Creek is located in the middle of a woods. Okay, the whole street top goes, there's a big hill that goes down. Craig's house is down on the bottom, and the leaves in there are unbelievable. You got oaks that don't come off till November. You got other trees that are starting. So the leaves are a problem. And I do believe that everybody on that street works to keep storms, tries to follow the rules. There were pictures that were placed. I do believe there's room for interpretation on exactly how those were viewed, but I do not believe that one of our neighbors did that intentionally. I want to err on the side of the resident, on the side of the taxpayer in this case. It's difficult for the city to get to our house every 2 weeks. It's never going to happen. And when you get that many leaves coming down, I think that Mr. Francis understands what and how it should be done, but I'd like to at least overturn the fine because I think it's better to serve our residents by educating and teaching versus fining.
Alder Eck.
Okay, so I'm on improvement of services and had a discussion, and Mr. Francois, is that how you say it, was there to plead his case. And basically, he did get a letter. We could go to Director Grenier to maybe get more information, if you wouldn't mind.
Director Grenier?
Yes, in this particular case, the resident did place material out on October 24th, did receive a letter on that. Excuse me, staff was back on site November 7th, and a second pile was noted. One of the reasons that the committee went the way, if I can speak on behalf of the committee, there was a distinct pile in the road, and it was not only leaves, there was green yard waste that was collected and deposited. Now, it was not placed in the leaves that were on the back of curb, but rather the green yard waste was placed directly on top of the pile that was located 3 feet away from the curb out in the roadway. That played heavily into the decision that the committee made. The photographs that Mr. Francis provided at the committee showed leaves falling from the trees and landing in the gutter, but did not show the state of the curb line that we provided at the committee meeting, which is the photographs taken by my staff on the day we collected those leaves in November.
Alder Eck, anything further?
Wait, oh, there we go. So my decision stands on to stick or to deny the request.
Thanks, Alder. Any other comments? Alder Hutchison, then Alder Prophet.
How much is the fine?
Director Grenier.
Yeah, I believe it was $91.
Thank you.
No problem.
And I'm just looking for verification from Director Grenier. Those photos that are attached in our packet are from 11/7, not the 10/24 date, correct?
That is correct.
Thank you. So I would just say I'm in agreement. I mean, the greenery, that chunk, that's the first photo. If that chunk wasn't there, I think this is a whole different conversation, but the chunk that's much more in the street that includes greenery, I would have to be in favor of denying the appeal as well.
Any other comments? Alder Galvin?
Those leaves getting washed down the street, are they gonna be plugging up our storm sewer?
There's a potential that with a rain event that could happen. The other problem is more so not that the leaves themselves wind up in the storm sewer, but precipitation event can leach materials out of the leaf pile, which includes phosphorus, and then that phosphorus gets into the system. I think it's splitting hairs a little bit. Okay. We tend to oversimplify things a little bit, say it's against our permit to allow the leaves to be in the street. That's not the case. DNR doesn't come and slap our hands if you allow the leaves to be in the street. Our permit, we're allowed to take credit for pollutant reduction, including total suspended solids and phosphorus reduction, if the leaves stay in the terrace. If we don't require the leaves up on the terrace, if we let them go in the street, we lose those credits under our municipal separate storm sewer system, our MS4 permit. Why is that important? Because the cost, 100% of the cost of our curbside collection of spring yard waste and fall loose leaf collection and the operation of both yard waste centers is funded by the stormwater utility. If I can't take that credit, then it doesn't make sense for the stormwater utility to pay for the collection of that material or the operation of the two systems. That's in excess of $1 million a year. That money would have to then go onto the tax levy, causing the associated increase in taxes. So we're able to fund those activities through the stormwater utility if we keep the material on the terrace and gather the credit for the investment of funds. That's why we're being the way we are. DNR has finally allowed us to gather that credit.
How many violations or phosphorus levels have to go up before they ding us and say, that's it, we're not funding it anymore?
We're already in excess of the phosphorus levels. We have to do everything that we can to keep driving those levels down to get compliance with our permit conditions.
All right, and this is directed towards Alder Hinkvis. Let's make it Alder Eck. You were at the hearing. So the property owner said he did not put those leaves and the grass clippings into the street.
Well, the pictures he showed were not the same picture that we saw. So it just didn't match.
Well, I guess what I'm saying, I have two pictures here.
Yeah,
And
those
one
were the ones from our staff taken.
Okay, and he's claiming though that he didn't put the leaves in the street.
I'm not sure if he came out and said that, but I think he tried to indicate that they kind of spilled over because he ran out of room on the terrace.
Ran out of room?
Uh,
Okay, because it looks like someone drove through it and on top of it,
Yeah,
there
there
were
is a
grass
space
clippings in it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Welcome.
I think Alder Presley wanted to jump in.
Yeah, to Alder Galvin's question about that, at the hearing or at the committee meeting, Mr. Francis didn't say that he was forthcoming that he did put those leaves there, and his explanation was that the machine that picks up the leaves only goes out so far into the terrace, and he only had so much room, and so he put them there so that they would be collected rather than just being left in his yard. So he didn't say that it was an accident or anything like that.
Thanks, Alder. Alder, did you have something, Alder Eck or Hinkvis?
I wanted to add, and I know there was a tree thing there, so that's what I mean about running out of room. But that we've been sending out letters, and the decision was made to actually start following through to do the fines. So everybody has been warned ahead of time, and they did get a letter, and when they came back, there was another pile there.
Anything else? Alder Johnson?
Director Grenier, could you clarify, just because I don't see the documentation here, What was the fee that was associated with this?
Again, if I remember correctly, it was $91.
91.
Okay, and was that municipal citation or is that a fee for service?
It's a fee for service.
And that was to pick up the leaves? Or-
Correct. What we do to calculate that fee for service was the assumption, the base assumption that goes into the calculation of fee is that we would have to mobilize a vehicle from the garage to go out to the site, pick the material up, and then drive back to the site. So it's a minimum charge.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, look, I appreciate, I think staff has done exactly what they're supposed to do. So I want to be clear that I don't think that this is any kind of judgment of staff, but when I look at the photos, I can certainly see it, some of the challenges, but more importantly, I think, I think it's important for us as a community to exercise grace in the right moments, but accountability in other moments. And this is one to me that's got enough gray area where I don't want us as a government to be punitive towards our citizens when something else might get us there. And I appreciate that the letter was sent. And in this case, I would say if we're talking about $91, and if the resident isn't aware after seeing this and after seeing the committee, then in the future, absolutely, I think, a fee would certainly be warranted. But to me, there's enough gray area to say I would rather err and say grace matters, and grace actually makes your citizens love their government rather than resent it. So I would actually favor the motion that is on the floor, in recognizing that if this type of violation happens again in the future, I think you really set a precedent right now for this particular property owner that there wouldn't be the same level of grace exercised next time.
And there isn't technically a motion on the floor. Alder Hinkle has kind of indicated towards a motion.
Oh, sorry. I
but
thought
didn't
that- Okay.
Make it, and we don't have a second yet. So, Alder Hutchison.
Director, how many of these situations are there? Is this unique or is there a dozen or?
I'm going completely off memory, but I believe now, nobody who received a fee in the fall of 2024 received that fee without receiving a warning letter in the fall of 2024. So similar to this property, which was warned in October and then issued a fee in November. Anyone who got a fee got a warning letter in the fall prior to it. If memory serves, there were in excess of 3,000 letters sent, first letters. And there was well in excess of 500. I want to say that number was closer to 1,000 were issued the fee for a second offense. Like Alder Eck had indicated, we've been sending warning letters out spring and fall for 3 years. I think people, honestly, my professional opinion is I think people honestly thought there's no way that they're ever going to send an invoice.
Thank you. With that information, I don't know why we would single this person out for not having to pay if the numbers are that big. It would not be fair for those people who paid that fee that they didn't come to the council and ask for the ability to not pay it. I totally understand the issue of not understanding or not knowing, but there was written communication along with the other communications in years previous that if you don't do it, I do it. We all do it. We all rake those leaves up onto our yard. So, because we know. So I would not be in favor of taking away this fee.
Thanks, Alder. Anything else? Alder Wery.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm on the committee, I chair it, so I was there as well. I appreciate going to bat for your resident. I appreciate Grace. That's my daughter's middle name. Good word, good name. I can tell you from years of experience that on the other side, just to be devil's advocate, there are a lot of people who have pushed for years, why aren't you enforcing this? And it was difficult for a while to explain why we weren't really doing it. I would get, and you probably do as well, you get photos from people. I get videos from one particular person of different properties. They'll videotape people pushing it right in the road and say, why aren't they being fined? well, this year we're finally, I think, getting a little more serious about it. And I get you might find it difficult, but if you approve this, I'm sure there were a lot of other residents on that street who might then say, maybe I'll push my luck a little bit. I get he was upset that it hadn't been enforced before, and there's a lot of leaves. I get it, but there's a lot of parts in town that have a lot of leaves, and we all have to deal with that. So I'm inclined, and I will vote against it. But I admire the push from D12 over there.
Thanks, Alder. Anything else? Would you like to make the motion, Alder? To approve the appeal, seconded by Alder Johnson. Any additional comments on that? Seeing none, all in favor will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay? The nays appear to have it.
Oh, I thought the ayes were louder.
With that, we'll go along to report of the Protection and Policy Committee. Motion to approve made by Alder Prophet. Seconded by Alder DeLee. Items here to be handled separately. Hearing none, all in favor will say aye. Oh, Alder Johnson. Say that again.
There's somebody here, I believe, to speak on an item. I think we owe them that courtesy. So item 7, I believe.
Like to handle that separately?
Yeah.
Any others? Hearing none others, all in favor of approving the remainder of the agenda, will signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The agenda has been approved with the exception of, is it 9? No.
7.
7. Exception of item 7. Wishes on that one, Alder Johnson?
I guess motion to approve as it's laid out here.
Okay. That is a motion to deny made by Alder Johnson, seconded by Alder Eck.
And then I would make a motion to open the floor to hear from interested parties.
Alder Johnson makes a motion to open the floor, seconded by Alder Eck. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The floor is open. This is for item 7 under protection and policy.
Hey everyone, good evening. Sorry.
That's right.
Okay. Okay, sorry. I did send the email for you guys everyone, so you guys already done email. Okay.
If you could just state your name and address for the council member.
My name is Xi-Wang Feng, 712. Can you have tissues? Thank you. Because I sell my restaurant medicine. I moved to Green Bay. I just want to have the business here. I like to Green Bay because Green Bay. I like Green Bay city. I like Green Bay person, time, and a Green person. So that's why I moved to here. I don't. I know this business for many years. So I bought it for 2 years ago. I bought this building. I bought this business for 2 years ago. I don't know any someone. I don't block the law, but I got the ticket, the citation because I used someone without a license. I just want to help people they don't have a job, but I'm just know I got it, so I can change and never do that. I never heard them, but I don't know to block the law. I don't know to. Sorry. I am 1 week not sleeping. I feel so. I feel so. I cannot understand if I do something wrong. If I like some people do this, if do bad stuff. I can, you can redeem my license. I'm okay. But I don't do anything, broke the law. I just hard working. I have a restaurant. I work 16 hours. Then I help many people. Just now, I like Green Bay. I moved to Green Bay, and my restaurant in the State Street Medicine. So I sold out. I moved to Green Bay. Just now, how it just happened. I cannot. I don't know how to handle it. That's why I wanted to standing here ask you all the people give me a chance or give me opportunity to have this license, continue my business. If I'm in the future, I had someone without the license, you want my license, I'm say, okay, you know. But it just, I just want to hard working. I just want to, don't want to ask government help or anything. I just want to work by myself. Dream, make my dream come true. I don't know much English good, but I know because the person is important. Kind is important. You like say I stand here, like ask you guys to give me a job, like give me a license. That's it. Sorry.
I think we have your testimony, ma'am.
Chief Davis, if you could just briefly explain maybe for the rest of the council and
What if they entertain a motion to close the floor first? Motion to close the floor made by Alder Eck, second by Alder Hinkfist. All in favor will say aye. Opposed, nay. You guys have it. Chief Davis, if you could just explain to us why the recommendation was for denial.
Sure, and I have Lieutenants Ayers and Mahoney here as well, who staffed this on our behalf. But in a nutshell, this operator has 8 citations since January of 2020 for various massage licensure violations. The first one involving allowing 3 unlicensed people to perform massages. There's one in December of 2020 for allowing 2. One in May of 2022 for allowing 1 unlicensed person to perform massages. Then there were 2 people in December of 2022 on the 10th. And 2 days later, December 12th, another unlicensed person allowed to perform massages. In January of 2023, allowing an unlicensed person to perform massages. May 23rd of 2023 cited for a violation of massage therapy, bodywork therapy licensing, allowing 1 unlicensed person to be on scene while the business was open and advertising business. That was the only person on scene inside the spa. And then in October 24th of last year, cited again for a violation of licensing rules for being open without a license or permit.
Thanks, Chief.
So there's 8 of those.
Any comments or questions from council on the motion? Alder Prophet.
I just wanted to thank Chief Davis for recapping that. I think that was a really helpful piece for us to have in our packet and what was behind our motion at protection and policy. And we called out what section. So if anyone wants, I have it pulled up in front of me, the section of our municipal code, section 10-95, subsection 5, subsection D and E were both called and justified in what Chief Davis just recapped for us. So I believe this is a very clear-cut denial with what was provided.
Anything else, Alder Eck?
And Chief or Lieutenant Mahoney can confirm this, but there was also 3 violations after the first of this year on the other applicant. Correct?
Did have violations. Those are still currently pending in municipal court. They have not been adjudicated. But the other ones that the chief mentioned, all of those I just confirmed this afternoon. She was found guilty and paid the fine on all the other ones.
Thanks, Lieutenant.
Thank you.
Anything else from council? None, all in favor will say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and that motion succeeds to deny. Next, Protection Policy Committee granting operator licenses. Motion to approve made by Alder Stevens and seconded by Alder Prophet. Any abstentions or names to be handled separately? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and that report has been approved. Report of the Planning Commission. Motion to approve made by Alder Stevens, seconded by Alder Prophet. Items here to be handled separately. Oh, yeah, Alder Preston.
Not to be handled separately, I just want to note an abstention on item 7 because UW Green Bay is my employer.
Very good. Thanks, Alder. Alder Johnson?
Thank you, Mayor. Similarly, abstention on R1, as that is my employer, sort of.
Very good. Full abstentions. Any
I don't
items to be
report
handled
to the big
separately?
board.
Hearing none, all in favor of the report will signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The report has been approved. Finance Committee. Motion to approve made by Alder Prophet, seconded by Alder Stevens. Items here to be handled separately. Hearing none, all in favor will say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and that report has been approved. Park Committee. Motion to approve made by Alder Prophet, seconded by Alder Eck. Items here to be handled separately. Hearing none, all in favor will say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and that report has been approved. Report of the Personnel Committee. Motion to approve made by Alder Prophet, seconded by Alder Galvin. Items here for separate. No, there's just one. All right, any discussion on that? Seeing none, all in favor will say aye. Opposed, nay. Guys have it, that report has been approved. Sustainability Commission. Motion to approve made by Alder Prophet and seconded by Alder Hinkfist. Items here to be handled separately. Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and that report has been approved. Report of the Equal Rights Commission. Motion to approve made by Alder Presley, seconded by Alder DeLee. Discussion here. None, all in favor will say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it, that report has been approved. Next, we have an informational item, municipal court report included in your packet. After that is resolutions. Alder Prophet makes a motion to suspend the rules and take up these items with one roll call vote. Seconded by Alder Presley. All in favor will say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and the rules are suspended. Motion to adopt made by Alder Prophet, seconded by Alder DeLee. Any discussion? And we will use the board. Yeah, resolutions. Sorry. And this is a vote on the resolutions. Gonna do approve. Those resolutions are adopted unanimously. Ordinance is first reading. Motion to suspend the rules made by Alder Prophet, seconded by Alder Stevens. All in favor will say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it, the rules are suspended. Motion to advance made by Alder Presley, seconded by Alder Prophet. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and those ordinances are advanced to a second and final reading. Petitions and communications. Adjournment. Motion to adjourn made by Alder DeLee and seconded by Alder Eck. All in favor say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. We're adjourned. Thanks, everyone. Alder Geary, you're gonna miss those leaf debates. You're gonna miss those leaf debates, aren't you?